Good morning friends. Today NGO Enabler is back with a video providing you with some latest updates on FCRA. Recently, the view being taken by the Honorable Supreme Court on FCRA amendments have come to light and the case seems to be at a very interesting stage, the next hearing being scheduled on November 9. It was held in the recent hearing by the Honorable Bench that the Centre is discouraging the NGO activities through such amendments in FCRA 2010. It also questioned the amendment which restricts the transfer of foreign contribution received by one FCRA organization to another FCRA registered organization. I, Ashish Agarwal from Team NGO Enabler, shall discuss today all the relevant arguments placed by both the petitioner and the defendant in the latest set of events and updates on FCRA amendments. So, the Supreme Court have started hearing the petitions filed by Jeevan Jyoti Charitable Trust, Noel Harper of NGO Care and Share Charitable Trust and others challenging the latest FCRA amendments. The said NGOs have mainly challenged the amendments related to prohibition on sub-granting of FCRA funds, opening of FCRA account only in New Delhi main branch of SBI, and quoting of Aadhaar mandatory for all governing body members. It also said that such amendments were ultra-virus to Article 14, 19 and 21 of the Constitution of India. In an affidavit filed before the Apex Court, the Centre defended its stand on the amendments and submitted unequivocally that there exists no fundamental rights to receive unbridled foreign contribution without any regulation. Article 21 of the Constitution, which talks about right to life and right to personal liberty, does not encompass the right to receive unregulated foreign contributions. The Centre is of the view that the amendments have been made only for better regulation and monitoring of the inflow and outflow of foreign funds. The genuine NGOs need not shy away from any regulatory compliances. In our view, though the intention of the government was to prevent and counter the hidden motives of some foreign powers and foreign state and non-state actors to take up such activities that amount to interference in the internal polity of the country, but such amendments have really impacted the working of genuine NGOs too. The compliance burden, the restrictions imposed and the kind of inquiries being conducted have really been a matter of pain for genuine NGOs, though they have been trying their best to comply with all the regulatory requirements under the amended FCRA. On putting restriction to transfer of funds by way of sub-granting, it was submitted by the Joint Secretary Foreign Division MHA that the provisions of transfer under erstwhile Section 7 allowed even transferee to further transfer it to another association and that transferee could transfer it even further. This would potentially allow endless chain of transfers and create a layered trail of money, thus making it difficult to trace the flow and utilization of foreign contribution. This creates serious vulnerability for misuse and diversion of foreign contribution. Countering the response filed by the Centre, the lawyer on behalf of the petitioners argued on this point by giving an example that after the amendment, now even if one gets 20,000 blankets through foreign contribution, the same cannot be given to anyone. He said, Section 7 is very clear in its prohibition, but is probably a poor drafting and oversight. Such blanket restrictions on the organizations working for the well-being of the community at large are harsh, disproportionate, and severely inhibits and limits everyone working in this sector because one is looking at the health, education, distribution of medicines, flood, and disaster-prone areas. It's unfortunate that one keeps looking at foreign contribution with colored lens. He further added that such amendment has taken the power away even from the Centre. Earlier, there was no prohibition. It was only a restriction which was reasonable. One could have transferred to another FCRA registered organizations or after prior approval from the central government even to unregistered organizations. But now it's a complete and outright ban and does affect the rights laid out in Article 14 and 19 of the Constitution of India. In our view, post the imposition of such restrictions on transfer even to another FCRA registered organizations, the department should have paved a smoother way out for subgranting of such foreign contribution, maybe by way of ensuring that it can be done between organizations registered for similar objects or limited only up to one second recipient and not after that. This could have broken the endless chain as was pointed out in the affidavit by the center. Moreover, when the FCRA annual return specifically asks disclosure for any such transfer, we feel such transfers could have been easily regulated and monitored through robust technology in place. In another response filed by the center, it highlighted that FCRA was a sovereignty and integrity legislation and the overriding purpose was to ensure that no foreign powers dominate the public life as well as social or political discourse in India. This becomes even more imperative in view of the fact that some foreign powers and foreign state and non-state actors continue to take up such activities that amount to interference in the internal polity of the country with ulterior designs. The restrictions on transfer aim to prevent and counter such acts of ulterior motives. Therefore, for effective monitoring and for ensuring the accountability of the recipient association, the transfer of foreign contribution has been prohibited. It is expected that NGOs would grow on the strength of their own genuine work undertaken for fulfilling specific needs of the society, the affidavit stated. In counter to this response of the center, the petitioner's lawyer argued on the following grounds. Firstly, amendment is manifestly arbitrary. He said, it is not that when the foreign direct investment comes in, we keep on amending the Companies Act. There has to be a logical constitutional basis for why they are amending and making it stricter and harsher. He further based his arguments on the judgment of the Supreme Court itself on Pegasus controversy, where it was held that if national security argument is being brought by the center in their counter affidavit, it has been made clear that they don't get a free pass saying national security is affected. They have to establish how national security is affected. I repeat, they don't get a free pass saying national security is affected. They have to establish how national security is affected. He also relied on the Pegasus order to the extent that it stated it is incumbent on the state to not only specifically plead such constitutional concern or statutory immunity, but they must also prove and justify the same in court on affidavit. He added that the center have to show that it is in public interest that the restrictions have been brought, since for the last 40 years there hasn't been any problem. On the requirement to open FCRA account in specified branch, the center filed that as per the erstwhile section 17 of the Act, all the NGOs could receive foreign contribution in an exclusive bank account of their choice in any bank in India. As these FCRA accounts were opened in hundreds of branches spread across the country, massive difficulty was being experienced in monitoring of inflow and outflow of foreign contribution from these accounts and also during audit process, the affidavit stated. It was also pointed out that nearly 19,000 associations out of close to 22,600 registered ones have already opened the account in SBI. In counter to this, it was argued on petitioner's behalf that there is no rational nexus between choosing one branch in one bank in one city and saying that it is necessary to subserve sovereignty and national interest. For this point too, the Pegasus order was relied upon by the petitioner's lawyer as already discussed earlier in the video. In our view, although it was well thought of by the Center for Proper and Better Monitoring of Funds and even standard operating procedures were released on how to operate the account etc., but practically the organizations have really struggled a lot and the process of opening as well as operating the account has not been as smooth as was thought of. Moreover, what we feel is that many NGOs are working in rural and undeveloped areas of the country where people are not yet so tech savvy, which further added to their anxieties related to opening of a bank account in another state altogether without physically visiting the capital city. Some are even facing issues still now, either related to transfer of funds or non-receipt of SMS in spite of their mobile number being registered with the bank, or even non-receipt of statement in their registered email IDs and many more such issues. The center in its affidavit also said that the requirement of obtaining Aadhaar number will help in proper identification of beneficiaries. However, in counter to this, the petitioner's lawyer relied upon the landmark judgment of the Supreme Court itself on Aadhaar issue, where it was made clear that the Aadhaar identity can be insisted upon only for the purposes of certain benefits. I repeat, the Aadhaar identity can be insisted only for the purposes of certain benefits that one is seeking under the Act, and it can't be made incumbent. In our view, this has been rightly pointed out by the petitioner's lawyer, because if it's already settled that the Aadhaar cannot be the only proof of identification of any person, then making it compulsory will surely be questioned at various forums of legislature by various experts. Anyways, as mentioned earlier, the next hearing is scheduled on November 9. Let's see whether the verdict by the Apex Court comes in favor of the center, the FCRA organizations, or the case gets a yet another hearing date. For more such details and latest updates on NGOs, you can visit our new website www.ngoenabler.com and keep tuned to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and put your notifications on, and for any queries feel free to contact us through email or comment below. Thank you.